Hi, and welcome to Rooted Flowers. My name's Becky, and we're going to tackle how to sow your seeds today. So if you're new to us, we've done a deep dive on seed starting indoors with a grow light system, planting the garden, like how many seeds do you even need, and a technique called transplanting. So if you have a limited space, how do you take the most of that and then scale it to get to the size garden that you want to? So we've got more topics on that. Check out our playlist on seed starting for more videos, but let's get started on the how now.
First up is selecting the right seeds. Consider plant size and bloom window. For more help, review how to plan for seed starting indoors and download our step-by-step guide. They will walk you through selecting the right seeds and are also linked in the video description. So whether you're just starting out or you have some basic supplies to get going, there's three components here. The bottom watering trays that allow you to water from underneath your packs or cell trays. What is holding your soil, seed, and everything that will be growing. And then the top portion, which is a clear covering. We've got a dome on the right and we've got clear plastic on the left. Your packs will sit situated in some type of solid bottom. This allows us to water from the bottom and not remove any seeds or dirt from the top of our trays. And if you have a tray like this 72 celled, you can always break it up so that the rows are of different flower types and it's all on one tray.
Thing I think you'll find beneficial is some type of self-containing apparatus. So this is actually a cement mixing bin that I got from Home Depot, but really anything that's going to keep your soil together so that you don't end up with a hot mess.
Once all your supplies are collected, we're going to fill our containers and trays with soil. A nice seed starting soil mix will be light and airy, and it'll be new. Don't go into your garden and reuse soil. You want to start off fresh and not run the risk of introducing any disease or bacteria early on. Our seed starting mix is a compost-based medium. We have it linked in description for you to check out. We find that we don't have to provide any additional fertilization when using this type of soil mix, and it has outperformed any other seeding mix we've tried. Fill the soil to the brim of your containers and then level it off evenly. We have not moistened this seeding mix or watered at all yet. We do that at the very end. Once everything's filled, I'll transfer it into my solid bottom tray that were used for watering, and it'll also serve as a great carrying tray so that I can keep everything together. So there's no right or wrong container or tray size to use. It's ultimately going to depend on what your end goal is. But here is a 72 count tray that we often use here on the farm and may be used by a really serious gardener. The trick to these trays is to not overlook the corners or the edges. Oftentimes we fill the center really well and then it's a little light on the outskirts, so make sure you go back and smooth over and make sure there's enough soil added into the cells. And if you can't see the individual cell lines like you can here, the grid, you've overfilled your tray and you need to smooth it off. Now getting your seeds into the soil can be as complicated as you want or simple. You've got your hand, you can grab a toothpick and a plate, you can pinch a seed packet, or you can buy a tool like all the way on the right where it actually vibrates and drops your seeds into a cell. So I'm setting the scene with two different types of scenarios here. On the left, you're a small grower at home, or maybe you're just getting started, and on the right, maybe a little bit more serious of a gardener or a small-time grower. Either way, principles overlap. So let's review. We have a solid bottom tray on the bottom, our containers filled with soil, and on the top we have our clear covering, which is going to serve to create a microenvironment. The microenvironment will not only retain the moisture within the soil after we water, but also keep it warmer.
I'm ready to go. I've got my pots filled with soil. I haven't watered anything yet. I don't do that until the very end with the bottom watering technique. After I've put like my clear coverings on, it's the last thing I do. So my soil is just as moist as it comes in the packaging. So what I like to do is put tiny seeds in a concentrated area, whether it be a pot like this or in other videos you'll see me use channel trays, and that way the seeds that are going to sprout are in one localized area. I can transplant them into a larger space afterwards, a larger pot or a larger cell, but I'm only spending a very limited amount of time in the beginning seeding them, and then I'm only spending time on plants that I know are going to produce after that, the ones that have germinated. I'm saving time, I'm saving space, and I'm saving material. I'm not going to use soil on something that's not going to produce anything. Another technique, if you choose to do the method where you're putting little seeds in a cell, you could double up the number of seeds or more. You could do 2 to 3 seeds in an area so that you know something will sprout, and then you can go through your tray or pot afterwards and thin and essentially either pull out the littlest seedling or just like snip it out, and then you just let one thrive. And that's another technique.
See you because I wanted to talk to you.
Oh, thank you, Mary.
With all the different sizes and shapes of seeds, you may find that you use different techniques for different types of seeds. If you like working with small seedlings, you could take a toothpick, dip the tip of it in water or with your tongue, and it will catch the seedling, and then you can just drop this into the soil. Or like I was saying earlier, grab a pinchful and drop it into soil and then transplant them later. It's really up to you, and you may find yourself flip-flopping in between techniques based on time, resources, and your mood. When you're not working with super tiny seeds like those snapdragons, you'll want to create a little dibble or depression into the top of the soil for your seeds to nestle into. When pushing down with our finger, we'll go about halfway up to our first knuckle. You want to make sure to keep that fluffy soil intact and not compact it. And then this is where you'll see we'll generally put at minimum 2 seeds into a little cell. If we do 3, fine, but 2 is really the minimum to guarantee that something will sprout. Seeds are not guaranteed to germinate at 100%. So by adding more than 1 seed to an area, you're guaranteeing yourself that something will sprout and you won't end up with dead space. It's better to end up with 2 plants in one space than nothing and just removing the extra one. Here's a little trick if you're using a large numbered cell tray. Take another one and press gently on the top to make that impression or little dibble. That way you're not going through individually and using your fingers. What you're seeing is a super slight depression. It's about 1/4 inch deep. For quick sewing, I love this little hand vibrator tool. You can find it in our supply list guide. And once all your seeds are sown, we like to top off our trays with something called vermiculite. So instead of covering with soil, we cover with this vermiculite. It's naturally antimicrobial, and it helps to retain a more even distribution of moisture on top of the seedlings. If you've had trouble with like a green algae developing on top of your soil in the past, give this a try. It may be the trick you need. It comes in different grades, which means different particle sizes, and we love to use fine. And now it's time to cover my masterpiece, move it to its set and forget it location, and water. Whether I'm sowing seeds for the farm or our home garden, I do use that vermiculite, but it is not necessary. You can definitely sow seeds without. Do make sure that it's lightly and evenly distributed so that you don't have any highly concentrated areas that could infect seed starting. Now it's time to water. So if I'm using a dome, it's easy to water with the dome on, but if I'm using the clear wrap, I do that last. So water first up to about 1/3 to 1/2 of the cell wall. So you want to make sure that your solid pan is deep enough to do that. In the beginning, we're only watering once. So we'll water, cover, and then set it and forget it until about 80% of our tray has germinated or sprouted.
Once that 80% is reached, you'll remove the clear covering and then water more frequently. Less in the beginning, but as the plants mature, you'll water more often, keeping with the bottom watering technique the whole time. Then we'll place our seedlings in front of a sunny window with direct sunlight. It needs to be the sunniest window in your house. Otherwise, seedlings could develop poorly, if at all. And if you need help with light, try artificial like this setup. In our basement, we have a grow light system that keeps light directly on the plants for up to 12 to 16 hours a day. It's a bulletproof system that I've personally used for over 10 years, and you can check it out in our next video. My last tip is bottom heat. Having a heat mat can make a really big difference in all of your seed sprouting. Not entirely necessary, but will definitely kick your game up. So if you're feeling more confident and you're definitely vested, I would highly encourage it. And don't forget to check out our supply list. After years of mistakes, we found the best. Thanks for stopping at the farm today, and we'll see you in the next video.